for everyone in this place just to get up here, and when they see something, they can release, God, and just the frequency that's coming into this place. But it's not just coming into this place for my good, it's coming into this place for the world's good. And it's the allowing of the love of the family that we operate in that's releasing a new frequency on the earth. And as the governments and as the nations and as the truth and the real justice is released and awakened, God, we just realized that all we had to do was free fall into it. It took no amount of measure, of time, of work. All it took was believing and seeing in who you are. And as we do that, we see ourselves. We bask in the flow of the frequency of love. And when he says love conquers all, the only way for you to love is to release. So as we release the old and become the new, it's not really becoming the new, it's just awakening to who we were. I just thank you for the worship team. I thank you for the family. I thank you for this building that we're transitioning out of and everything that we're transitioning out of to become the new, God. And I hate using the word new because it's separation, but it's not a new, it's a metanoia, it's a changing of the mind. Just thankful for today, God. Thankful for the breath, thankful for the mic, thankful for the AC, God. Just thankful to be living in history as we make history with God's house in the nations. Thankful for everyone who laid down their lives for the message and the growing and the awareness of who we're supposed to be. We rejoice in all things. And we thank you for the Bagley family and Sheila this morning. And when we love you, we love everyone.
We can release the children, right? When we love you, we love everyone. See, the shedding of the skin, the illusion was, and God moved into man's illusion for, because he does that, was that the animal skin would cover their shame. That the skin would cover their shame. And then it ended up becoming a false reality that they just continued to build. And it was natural, and it was the 0.01% of what we see. And they were spiritual all along. And so the shedding is, I think, the memory of who we thought we were. And guys, as fast as you're willing to go is as fast as he'll take you. This morning I woke up and I saw everybody on this side of the room. And I thought I was supposed to tell you to ask you to move, because I know that we get in our habits and we sit in the same place, and it helps us hear better when you're in a different, it's kind of like your mom telling you the same thing over and over, and then someone else tells you. How many of you guys have your kids do that? And you're like, what the? But it does something whenever you look at it from a different angle. I told you two things. I said I saw him on this side of the room and something else. I'm not sure what that was. Good morning, y'all. Listen, the reason and just let me be in it, But the reason I'm so extreme, like when I said even birthdays and things like that, I'm not, saying that like a Jehovah's Witness. I'm against it. Please invite me to your birthday parties. I'll buy you a gift. But there's an extremity in my mind when it comes to the traditions that we have to keep, because it's keeping us in cycles of bondage. And Jared actually said this to me on the phone, but I had read it as well, and it said that traditions are just peer pressure from dead people. Pretty much, right? Yeah, don't put that as a quote from me, because that's not my quote. They've been making these little things on Facebook, and it'll say Sheila. One of them, like, oh my God, that was a quote from a book. You guys are like, she is so smart. But with it, you guys, if you'll allow, and I'm telling you, the part of us that holds on is the ego self, the natural self, but if you'll allow this process and just find peace in the middle of it, he's bringing you out into the open field. But the systems, what we've done is we didn't like the system of church. We didn't like the system of how the family was run. We didn't like these systems, and so we rebelled against the system, and that was our motive, and we did what? We created another system. Because the systems are within you. The systems are within us, okay? So when Adam and Eve perceived separation, when there was a curse, then the man ruled over the woman. And that's what, even when you read all the New Testament, the reason that all the disciples were men, it was because he came to the Jews. And they wouldn't allow anything else. And you guys remember, and I was being kind of bratty when I said, it's kind of sad, because us women, if you ever get a word that people get it from Scripture, they have to find somebody and some woman, I'm like, why can't I be, David? Because in 2021, we can be. Because that system. Okay, but it's still, and listen to this, all prejudice, all separation started with the man and the woman. That's where that was released in the earth. And it was ultimately always about us and God. So what do we mean when we say there's no separation? Is that just for you to feel guilty about your prejudices or how you think the system of this world should work? Usually when it says world in Scripture, it means the system of the world. It doesn't mean the earth, okay? So even when it said God so loved the world, he loved the people in the system. That's why he had to give his only son, okay? He's tearing the system down. He's not angry against us, but the false identity that's kept us separated in our mind from him is the whole thing, okay? That's what sin is. Sin isn't us being immoral. Okay, that's part of it. It's a small part of it, and it's what we like to preach because we think we're so moral. Okay, but you can't tell me, you righteous person in the pulpit, that you're that, righteous if you're not operating like Travis just said. To love him is to love everybody. Yeah. Right? And so we get this concept that there's no separation. So what does that mean, guys? I mean, he's going deep. He's jacking me up more and more, and I'm loving it. But there's a letting go in it. And listen, it's okay. Your body will panic. Your mind may even panic. You just tell yourself it's okay. Right? I meant to respond to you. Donna had sent me a text. I won't say what the text was. But what I do when I'm releasing something is I picture the worst case scenario, and then I move into that. Like if there's a fear about a kid or something that's going to happen. I know this sounds, you can do this if you want. I move into it. Like what if, one time I remember hearing that Alex was going to die. And it took us 6 years to get pregnant with Alex. And she was just such a delight. You guys remember I've said this. She smiled before she opened her eyes in the morning. She'd be like, and she just assumed everybody was celebrating that she was awake, And how many of you guys are on the mind detox? We opened it up, because people were getting all these notices, but people didn't join in time. If you're going to join, go to iamgodshouse.com, and you can now open it up. It's public. But the reason I first didn't want to do it public, because I want you to do the 21 days. So go back. You're like 4 days in, okay? Today's the 5th day, I believe. But how many of you guys listened to Alex when she did her little meditation? Isn't that sweet? Okay, so anyway, I heard this voice. I'm driving down the road. Alex is like 7 years old, and she brought so much delight into our life, and I felt it. Like it grips you, you know what I mean? And as soon as I heard it, I went, oh, I'm going to love you every day of my life. I'm going to serve you every day of my life. I just move into it as if it happened. Like, what's the very worst that could happen? I was thinking about this the other day. This is extra. You guys, you know those movies, all the movies about the end of the world? Okay? Listen, if that's going to happen, like the whole world explode, don't come to my house because I want it to end. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be the person that's trying to keep us alive. I'm like, let's move on, sucker, right? Let's get out of these systems, right? There's more places for us to rule. This is just a small sphere where we are, okay? I don't want the world to be destroyed, but I was thinking about that. These people that fight tooth and toenail to stay alive, it's because we're trying to live in an illusion. We're trying to recreate something, okay? I'm not trying to leave the planet. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that we are not limited to this planet, just like you're not limited to your own skin, okay? Everything, the jail, when we watched that little video and the jail that was already unlocked and the guy leaned on it and the door came open, okay? That's all in our minds. We're already free. Yeah, that's right. I've been listening to different podcasts and different things, and this priest, he wrote a book. I don't even know what the book is, but he interviewed some mediums and stuff, and he got in trouble for doing it, and this was years and years ago. He got in trouble for doing it because it was demonic, they said, and stuff. And so later he passes away. This priest, years later, he passes away. And I mean, guys, there's several books out there that are from people that have passed away, okay? And some of them don't tell you how they wrote the book, but they found somebody, okay? And I even looked up the word medium. I'm not trying to get people into all that stuff, but Moses, according to the dictionary, Moses was a medium. That's how he wrote the book of Genesis, you know what I mean? Like, he was a conduit, okay? So anyway, so this priest passes away, and he realizes what he wrote was not right, and what he taught people was not right. And I mean, he's telling the story. And he's delighted in what the truth is, but he realized what he gave his life for wasn't right. And so God was like, well, you can rewrite it. And the person that was going to listen to him was the medium. He built a relationship way back when, and he rewrites a book through this person. He said, and I'm just barely in it, he said, that he went into this art gallery. This is awesome. And he saw the great pieces of art that are on the earth. And he goes, wow, these are replicas of the great art. And they said, no, everything on the earth is a replica. The art that was created first is created in your mind. So these artists, their intentions are what is being displayed in the spirit realm. He said the colors, he said the pictures were like alive. He said the colors were beyond anything he could understand, and he realized that they were limited on the earth. You know how you see something or you're telling someone a dream and you cannot articulate it fully. Right. And so he said these artists, what they intended and what they saw and what they created is on display. What? Wow. Because we are our intentions. That's why Jesus came and said, no, you don't get it. You think you're going to live the law and get it right. They didn't understand what he was saying. He said, I'm telling if you look at a woman in lust, you've already done it. Because you are your intention. You are metaphysical. And we made it all about just that physical act, and then you get slapped. But he said, I only look at the heart of the man. I don't look at the outward appearance. That's why whenever Samuel came to anoint David, no, Samuel, excuse me, let's see. Let's do this right. I wrote this down. Listen, I'm not telling you guys to go to a medium, but this guy knew that, he said to God, he said, who will listen to me? Who will think that it's me? He said, if I appear to any of my brothers, they'll say it's demonic. He said, all the authors that write here, this is good news, all the authors are getting to rewrite their books if they want to. So you'll get it right. And let me tell you this also, just for you guys out there that don't know me. When I say all roads lead to Rome, I'm not saying I think that there's all these ways to God. I believe that Jesus is the door, okay? I just don't believe it ends in this little 80, 90, 105 years that you're on this earth. I feel like he said that every knee will bow and every tongue will confess, and that is only done by the leading of the Holy Spirit. What did we think? He's going to grab us and make us bow one day? Finally, they're going to get it. Finally, Hitler's going to understand he is the Lord, and he's going to be forced to bow. That is not even the nature of God. I just believe as many thousands of years as we are here, that eventually all roads are going to lead to Rome, that all roads lead to God, that he's after man. It's the beauty of his creation. It's his intention. And so sooner or later, so I'm not saying it doesn't matter what you do, you're just going to get there. No, it matters because it matters on how long it takes for you to get there. How long will I be in this place? You guys read David in the Psalms. He would cry out and he would be in agony, and then he would shift, and then he would recognize the Lord in that place. Did you guys hear any of what some of what Brad was singing? I didn't leave that there. It was Samuel. He comes and he's going and he's anointing. He's like, I'm going to anoint the king. And his father brings out everybody. And he's like, who? None of them. He said, listen, you guys look at the appearance. You look at the external appearance of man. You look at what you can see, feel, hear, and taste and touch. He said, but not God. God looks at the heart. God looks at the inside of man. So that, and of course, then he brought him out and he anointed him as king. Listen, guys. The further in we go in you, the more glory there is. The inside of you is good. It's been redeemed. It's holy. Okay? The part we're struggling isn't just the heart of man. But there's an awareness and an awakening that's happening to the truth of who we are. And as much as you're willing to let go, it's as fast as you're going to experience him. Does that make sense? I don't know if I should pose or what. I always get... So what I was hearing this morning, when I woke up this morning, is that inner script. There's an inner script, a scroll, if you will. People have talked about going into heaven's realm and seeing scrolls, things that are written over your lives. Maybe you'll read it. Maybe you'll process it through your mind. That would be awesome. But for the most of us, I believe we're going to learn the dance. We're going to learn the harmony, okay? Will you throw the picture of the DNA up there? There's actually a sound. There's a song that you are to align with, okay? It is who you are. But see, we were taught that's what DNA looks like. I believe in, I think it's Genesis. Throw up there really quick. Genesis 28:12. And then we'll go back to that. Genesis 28:12. See that part that you're always longing and you're wondering if there's more? That is the part of you that's inviting you to come within. But where we've missed it is we've looked outward, okay? The Western church, it's just broken my heart what we've done is we made heaven and hell a place separate from our being. Okay, we made to obtain love separate from us. We made to obtain healing separate from us. Think about it. That's why the pharmaceutical companies, even this, making billions, because everything is on the outside of us, and we need to bring it in. We thought love, peace, joy, all of it, wealth. We have the mindset that wealth is on the outside of us. That health is on the outside of us, that abundance is on the outside of us. That came in the Western church. It came with the mindset of separation. All right? The Eastern church, and it's not either or, you guys. I'm just saying we have to open up our heart to where God is moving and allow that and let the fear fall off. Because the wealth is inside of you. The abundance is inside of you. The health is inside of you. I heard a lady said to me this week, she said, it's not fair for you to expect somebody else to love you the way you're not willing to love yourself. That's just me. How could I expect that from you when I won't give it? I'm the one withholding it. I am the love giver. Peace is inside of us. Union, right? Even the people that are hurting and broken that we're looking at, okay? If you can see it, they're part of who you are. It's the no separation. So here it is with Jacob. He had a dream, and behold, the ladder was set on the earth with its top reaching to the heavens. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. Will you throw that DNA back up there? So this is what I believe that he saw. That God began to prophesy that I'm about to change your DNA, that there's a DNA from heaven. He said he saw a ladder with angels, going up and down. God began to speak to Jacob. Jacob meant deceiver. He was one that deceived. He was one that did it his way. He's one that had to figure it out. It's how we've lived a lot of our lives. Like we don't know what to do next, and so we're going to start just trying to figure it out. And we don't realize that there's even the deception comes in it. I haven't realized the depth of deception that we've walked in, okay? So he's trying to do things, and he's trying to figure it out, and he lays his head down, and he sees angels ascending and descending on a ladder, and I believe it's a DNA ladder that God began to prophesy that I'm changing your DNA. And this was the night that he changed his name to Israel, and the church began to be birthed, and in fact, we are the spiritual Israel, okay? So he was talking about a DNA change in the earth, angels ascending and descending. I want you to throw up John 20:29. Let me see if this is the one I want. I wrote on my stuff this morning. It just seems like I have more pages. Bartholomew. Okay, here we go. John 1:43. There it is. I want to talk about Nathanael. And a lot of people believe that was Bartholomew later in Scripture, the apostle. So John 1:43, it says, the next day Jesus decided to set out for Galilee. This is whenever he's very first saying, hey guys, come follow me. So he's walking around on the earth. He's picking up in here. He's picking up in his spirit, in his mind eye, who God's saying, that one, right? That one. No pressure, not trying to convince anybody of anything, right? It's just the one that you know that they're already hungry for it. The next day, Jesus decided to set out for Galilee. Finding Philip, he told him, follow me. Now, Philip was from Bethsaida, the same town as Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and told him, we have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, the one the prophets foretold, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. And Nathanael says, can anything good come from Nazareth? Like, what the heck? And he said, come and see. And Philip, verse 47, when Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said, here is a true Israelite. He identified his DNA right there. And he's not just, he's speaking into his identity right there. And this is what I love about Nathanael. He felt it. It was more than this right here, okay? He felt it. I'm a true Israelite, right? And here's a true Israelite in whom there is no deceit. That word deceit is dolos or dolos. It means to bait or to allure, a hook. You guys know when somebody, pretty much all ego love has a hook in it. I was trying to talk to a young person about this. I'm like, listen, when you're loving her with an end game, okay, it's not God's love. In other words, I'm going to love you, I'm going to love you, I'm going to love you, but this is what I want in the end. It could be marriage. It could be a noble thing, okay? But if you're loving with an end game, it's just like hunting. You're sitting in that stand, but you're not. If you were promised that nothing's coming, you're going to get out of that deer stand, you know what I'm saying? But that's okay, but that's not God's love. God just gives. That's all he does is give and give and give and give. So there's a love that someone's really kind and they're giving to you, but there's a hook in it. The hook turns right back and points back at them. And we don't even know we're doing it, but that's what's birthed from the ego self, because the ego self, my natural self, is all about protecting me. Okay, so as soon as I started getting a little hinge, I think, that might be a Judas. What am I going to do? What's the ego going to do? I got to abort, right? What is he doing? He shouldn't be one of my closest disciples. I mean, he's going to be sure I get on the cross. That was with the ego self, but that's not how God operates, okay? God operates, he just gives love. He just gives love. So when Jesus said this, he said, this is a true Israelite. He didn't call him a Jacob. He said, this is a true Israelite. He's been transformed by the DNA, and there's no deceit, no guile in him. That word was actually used as a term they would flip around, and they would say there's no Jacob in him. The Jews would say that. Yeah, there's no Jacob in him. Or maybe they'd call you a Jacob, but the deceiver. So Jesus is identifying him right there. Verse 48, how do you know me, he says. I think that had some depth to it. I think it's that part of you that knows that you're really amazing, that you've listened to the lies in your head, you've listened to culture, you've listened to your experiences, you've listened to your dad's voice, you've listened to your coach's voice, whatever. But the reason it doesn't feel right, the reason it's even bringing you turmoil is because you know it's not right. If you thought it was right, you'd be at peace in it. A fish is at peace in its atmosphere in water. When you take a fish out of water, they start floundering and flopping around, right? So we live our life in our mind floundering and flopping around because we know that hat didn't fit. We know that those clothes didn't fit. We know that identity was never to really fit on us, but we haven't found our way out. See, all Jacob did is he was trying to find his way out. And God was like, look, Jacob, I am your way out, dude. He wrestled with me. Don't you leave me till you change me, right? And he changed Jacob's name to Israel. How do you know me, Nathanael? And this is like, hundreds of years later. How do you know me? Nathanael asked Jesus. And Jesus replied, before Philip called you, I saw you under the fig tree. There's a lot more to that. He didn't see him across the field. The fig tree represented Israel. Rabbi, Nathanael answered, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. He's the first one that said it. I know we talk about Peter, and he said, who do men say who I am? Oh, they say this, they say that, but who do you say? Oh, you're the Christ, you're the Son of God. We talk about that one, but he says it right there. He saw it. He was ripe, he was ready, he saw it. Just with that. You're the Son of God. Just that, you're the Son of God. You just identified me. That's how you know when you're dealing with the Spirit of God is he's identifying you. See, religion or the ego self or the systems of man will try to get you to serve it or serve them. It could be in your marriage. It's always about conforming to what I want, okay? But the deal with parenting and what a real parent is to raise somebody up and release them from what you want and enjoy who they are. And Father is a parent. He raises us up to release us into our identity. And he knows the false identities will come off. And Jesus was like, you believe me because I told you this? Because I saw you under the fig tree? He's just like, dude, you're going to see greater things than these. And here he goes. Then he declared, truly, truly, I tell you, and he goes right back to Jacob, you're going to see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. He's tapping right into his DNA change right there. And they called him, most scholars believe it was Bartholomew later. And let me read you a little bit about him. Qualified by divine grace to discharge the functions of an apostle, he carried the gospel through most of the barbarous countries of the East, penetrating into the remote Indies, baptizing and casting out demons. A copy of the Gospel of St. Matthew is found in India by somebody in the 3rd century, taken there according to local tradition by St. Bartholomew or Nathanael. St. John said the apostle also preached in Asia Minor with St. Philip, who suffered there. It was later said that he was martyred. In fact, can you throw the picture of his picture up there and then the symbol of him? I'm drinking water in this because I think it looks cooler. So that's just a picture of him. They said he had curly hair, history said. And let's look at the next one of the knives. And that's the symbol So like in the Catholic Church and different ones that recognize Saint Bartholomew or Nathanael, that's the symbol because he was skinned alive. Interesting, we're talking about skin today. I didn't know that. He was skinned alive. It was a glorious martyrdom. He didn't mind it. He got to be counted with one of the greats before he was crucified. Interesting, huh? Identified from the inside. Identified from the inside. Didn't talk about very many miracles and stuff that he did, didn't record it. That's why I love, if you can, go into some of the stuff that Catholic Church records, and because there's some great history there, what some of these people went on to do. Not having it to be confirmed by man, but identified from the inside. I know that we talked about these scriptures before, but I want to go back into Matthew 6:19 and kind of look at it a little deeper. Because there's an inner script, and it's your inner script. It's within you, guys. It's within you. It's already within you. It's everything that you dreamed about as a kid. It's everything that you already knew as a child, that you were talked out of. You were trained to be human. You were trained to live in this natural world. And that's what God's untraining us to do, if we'll allow it, okay? And in it, you guys, I mean, God's just like, he's going like, what would you fear? And even when I start experiencing the spirit realm and thinking even on any level of, going to the other side and living there and stuff like that, I think the first thing that comes up is being alone. Like, what do you do? Because you feel that in your ego self, in your memories, in your mind here, but it doesn't even exist in the spirit realm. There's not even, that feeling doesn't even exist. That came from this earth world. It came from the separation or the concept of separation. Okay? That's why you can't get close enough to somebody. That's why it's really, I remember even until we hit different spiritual levels, Darren and I, it was never enough. It was never enough. And I was always irritated about all these things that are trying to train us how to meet each other on a natural level. Because I knew that God told me to marry the man. I was working out at F45. Just telling you that because I don't really listen to this song. And Hotel California came on, that song. And sometimes when you're working out, you get in the other side of your mind. You don't see it coming. You know what I mean? You're just like, shh. And I had this whole vision. It was just like, and I'm just crying. I'm just sitting on the bench just crying. And I just got a glimpse of my whole life just like that. And just with meeting this, all these things, meeting Darren, the plan of God, it was just such a drive. And then he let me out of the truck and just drove on. And it was just like breathtaking. But what's real? You decide what's real. You've decided what's real. You've decided your own reality. And all the while, there's an inner script. Does that make sense? Matthew 6:19, when it talks about this, now I know that we read all these scriptures trying to work on our natural self, okay? So forget that. Let's look at this. We're all just mystical people. We're looking behind the scenes, all right? So when you start reading something, you're looking behind. You're listening to what God's telling you now, okay? So Matthew 6:19, do not store up for yourself treasures on earth where moths and vermin destroy. I don't know what vermin are. What? And where what is it? Critters. Who put vermin in there? What is that from? Where critters destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourself treasures in heaven where moth and vermin do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. The word treasure is not just where your bank account, and it's not just your house that you thought you paid too much money for. Dang it, the church is condemning me. No, the word treasure is so much more than that. It's a storehouse, treasured thoughts that are stored up in your mind and heart. That's literally in the definition. It's where we get the word thesaurus. It's a thesaurus or whatever is the Greek word. It's where you get the thesaurus where you look up synonyms. It's a treasure of synonyms, right? It's a treasure. It's what you're storing up. It can be the thoughts that you're storing up about what you thought life needs to be. It could be the thoughts of what you've stored up on what's going to bring you happiness. It's whatever you're storing up, okay? It's whatever you're placing your value on. And he said, store up for those things, treasures. Place your value on things in the spirit world, in heaven's realm. When it talks about what can destroy, that word destroy just means to disappear. Don't waste your thoughts, your mind, your heart, your energy on things that are going to disappear. They're going to be temporal. There may not be a little vermin that comes in. Whatever. Varmint, I don't know. But it's talking about things that are fleeting. It's talking about, the busyness in our mind, the things that we live for, you guys. If this is really, let's say this is really all going to be burned up, okay? And then you see what's left. What's left? That's what I'm looking at in my life. Listen, the only reason it's painful is because we don't want those things to burn, but it's the passion of God's love that's burning towards us that's burning it up. It does not have to be painful. It's painful because we're holding on to a false reality that he's trying to remove from us so he can answer our prayer, our heart's cry to know him. You're the one that wants to go to the deeper place. Literally, your desires have brought the pain. That's the road. And I know we say, did it take all this? Well, apparently for me it did. It's okay. That's why you can embrace the pain. Listen, I do want to tell you guys this. Amish, I hope he doesn't get mad at me because I've been calling him Amish Jerry. But I met Jerry and Beth Hirschberger, and we met him in 2018 at Kirby's 5-day in Florida. Just loved them and everything, and then meeting him this time, and they're going to come and they're speaking at the 5-day. The wake. This guy came out of the Amish community. He said he's one of the hardest workers, and he started getting an understanding of the kingdom, started moving in like miracles, like over 200 teeth filled with gold. They have pictures like all these people like, all these teeth filled with gold, all these miracles. He's preaching the gospel, right, in the Amish community and everywhere else. And then he said that God told him to pull back and just concentrate on his family, loving on his wife, and he did that for a few years, I believe. And then God began to show him how to manifest businesses. I think he started 10. Tech businesses. Awesome businesses. He's making the bank. Okay, he said he either would eat oatmeal or steak, have nothing or be at the top of it. But God has shown him how to see in there, and he'll just give stuff away. He's just like, he knows it's for the kingdom, and the way he's wired is what's next. What else are we going to manifest, right? So I'm like, dude, your family, we want you to come. So he's coming here. He'll be with us during the wake, him and Beth. And he said that God's given him a revelation. He'd been his wife on the bride. And he said, everyone's talking about the sons. He goes, but the bride is the next level. Well, the bride is the union. The bride is the union, right? The bride is the oneness. The bride is ruling as God in the earth and everywhere. So anyway, so he's coming. I'm just telling you guys. And the reason I keep calling him Amish Jerry is I want people to remember what he's come out of. He said, Sheila, my wife just decided to get a flip phone, and I'm starting a tech company. I'm like, well, we can do this. Come on, Yes, it's awesome. They have all these Airbnbs, these treehouse Airbnbs that are amazing and just incredible people. So I just want to tell you guys that. So where moths and they destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal. Verse 21, for where your treasure is, for where you're storing up these thoughts and desires, for where there's a storehouse that's filled, okay? Where your treasure is, that's where you're going to know that your heart is. Your heart is your inner man, your intentions, the seat of your desires. Okay, that's why I'm even talking about doing a mind detox, okay? Because we can get busy with so many things and they don't matter anyway. It's not, I know we've read that scripture where your treasure is, your heart is, which we should take an offering right now. No kidding. And we use that in offerings to try to get people to give more money because they had too much money in the bank and it needed to be in this storehouse, right? But it's not just talking about money. It's talking about your substance. What makes you get up in the morning? Why are you wanting to conquer that next thing? Why are you wanting to start this next business? Have you justified in your mind it's for noble reasons, or are you ruling and reigning with Christ? You know what I'm saying? Because where your treasure is, your time, your energy, your stored up thoughts and desires, that's exactly where you are. That's the exact reality that you've chosen to live in. You chose it. We're right where we want to be. Listen, I could say that if we were in a communist country, because we're not bound by the systems of the world. We're not bound by the systems of the world. We are able, it is in us to live beyond every system, okay? But first, we have to take dominion in our mind. The first systems that we're going to rule over is the system within us, right? Okay, so the eye, that word eye, is the lamp of the body, verse 22. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are clear, your whole body will be full of light. That's not talking about if you're looking at porn, your eyes aren't clear. I know we condemned everybody for keeping, it's good to keep your eyes clear. It's the window to the soul. I understand that. But that word eye also means your mind's eye. It's what you can see inside of you. It's the inner eye. It's that part that you can see and discern. It says the eye is the lamp. That word lamp is the illuminator. The lamp is the one that walks out. So you're walking in darkness, but inside of you, you're illuminated and you're walking. It means I'm walking in revelation. Okay? So if the eye of the body, the word body isn't sarx, it's not flesh in this matter. Your body, you also have a metaphysical body. It's talking about you, your being. It also is used for the mystical body of the church. So it's talking about what goes on the inside in your mind's eye. It's the lamp, it's the illuminator. That's why we're detoxing it of all these thoughts that aren't your thoughts anyway. I'm telling you, they're not your thoughts. They were created by your experiences. They were created by culture. They're created about the new. Listen, our governments, not just ours, but the governments of the world are really smart. We buy what they tell us to buy. We think how they tell us to think. They knew we were going to play on this division, and that's how we're going to win elections. And we're going to create a bigger wedge and a bigger wedge and a bigger wedge and get them fighting about something doesn't matter, and they're going to pass all these bills right under our noses. But yet we're not bound by that system. So the eye is the illuminator of your body, of your very being. If your eyes are good or clear, that word clear means single. Oh, you got my song ready? Because we're so techie. That word clear means single. Undivided focus without a secret. It means you're not a Jacob. You're not trying to figure it out. I like to be in situations where I can't figure it out, because if I thought I could, I would. I like to finally have my back up against the wall. Man, it motivates me. It motivates me when it has to be God. I see what I can produce. It's cute, it's a really good meal, but the next day it's going in the toilet. I'm not trying to be rude. Will you cue my song? Double vision, just to help you. Double vision. You're living in two worlds. It's your whole problem, my problem. Double vision. Do you guys remember this song or no? Am I irritating you yet? It's always new to me. Thank you. Oh, my double vision gets the best of me. Whew. Did that change your life or not? Double vision. So when your eyes are clear, it means you don't have double vision. You don't need another confirmation. It's okay that you do. But we're working on getting single eyes. Listen, guys, it's not going to take a church. It's not going to take a preacher. It's not going to take a book. It's only you that can get to this place. It's you. It's a decision within you that you're going to go within you. Yeah. That's what it is. That's why I'm so sad at what the Western church did, because these Eastern people, maybe they're not recognizing Christ, but they're digging on the inside of them. This one guy that I love reading his stuff. He's very Christ-centered. He said he was sitting in church. He was a little kid. And they're talking about Christ. They're Jesus Christ, And he didn't tell what kind of church it is. And he's like, Mom, he sees him. He's like a 5-year-old kid. I see him. There he is. And she's like, shh, church is about to start. The system's got to start. So in high school, he does his thing and goes through his stuff. And as he becomes an adult, he goes on this journey. He's looking for what we're all looking for. He's looking for what we're all looking for, okay? And he goes to Tibet, and he's going into all this Eastern stuff, and he's going into, years in it. And he's sitting there, and this light appears in his room, and he's familiar with this stuff. He talks about channeling different people and all this stuff, he's just in it. I think he was in his 40s by this time, I don't know. And this light starts getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like majestic, and starts talking to him. And he's like, you've got to be kidding. It was the Christ that he remembers seeing when he was 5 years old. We spend our whole life looking. It doesn't matter if you're looking in the bar or if you're looking in Tibet, in the Eastern religion, or you're looking in all the conferences in the charismatic church, you know what I mean? He's looking, and there he is, and he's like, he got mad. You're just like, what? And now God speaks to him, and he's written all kinds of stuff on him. But he was looking within, and he found him. Verse 23, 22, the eye is the illuminator, the mind's eye, that part of you that sees. It illuminates your whole being. If your eyes are single, if you don't have double vision, then your whole body, that means your entire complete body will be as one. We're learning all this stuff about mind-body connection, and literally people are healing themselves just by aligning their minds and their hearts, their brain and their mind and their heart. Have you guys heard of, I meant to send you this picture. I'll wait on that one. I'm not even sure how to say her name correctly. Have you guys heard of Marina Abramovic? You know what I'm talking about? How do you say her name? Abramovic? Say it? Abramovich. Yeah. Okay, well, she's an artist, and she's done some pretty crazy stuff. But she did this piece of art. She does it like physical art. She's done some pretty scary stuff for sure. In 2010, the work was inspired by her belief that stretching the length of performance beyond expectation serves to alter our perception of time and foster a deeper engagement in the experience. She would sit silently on a with a wood table in front of her, this big, beautiful red gown, and for 8 hours a day for 3 months. And I was like, my first question, how did she go to the bathroom? She never got up. It was put into the chair. I meant to have a picture of this for you. Just a beautiful artist. She's, and people would come and sit in front of her for 8 hours a day. People would come in. There's lines and lines of people. Some famous people that, one guy went 21 times. Because she had been through so much abuse in her life. She had pushed the limits. She's not saying that it's Christ-centered or anything like that, okay? She's lived this life, and she has learned to be fully present. There she is. And people would sit and just look at her and just weep, just because she understood how to be fully present. One guy came 21 times. And people's lives were being altered and changed because a human was being fully present. I think it was over 1,000 hours that she sat there. And Alex must have researched it a little more. She said they had to put like a toilet in there. They would have to. I don't know how that happened. So let's see. Over the course of nearly 3 months, for 8 hours a day, she met the gaze of over 1,000 strangers, many of who were moved to tears. Nobody could imagine that anyone would take the time to sit still and just engage in mutual gaze. She explained, in fact, the chair was always occupied, and there were continuous lines of people waiting to sit in it. It was a complete surprise, the enormous need of humans to actually have contact. It was a transforming experience, luminous, uplifting. It has many layers, someone said, but always comes back to being present, breathing, and maintaining eye contact. That's the guy that came 21 times. Listen, as we're learning this stuff, you guys, that's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, we're going to soar past it after we learn some of these key things. You know that when kids don't, you can take that down now. Now it's competing with me, and I don't like it. Don't make me wear my red dress. Just kidding. You guys know if kids don't learn their phonics, okay? A lot of times they have them come back into kindergarten, and they also kids that didn't crawl. So, and so I think Josie was one, I don't know. But they would come and they realized that there was a part of their brain that didn't mature correctly. And so they would bring them back, okay? And these kids would begin to crawl, and then the phonics would just start coming. Isn't that awesome? So I believe that's where the church is. I believe that's where we are, okay? So even when somebody's mentioning that they went and beat on drums with their shirt off and it was something kind of weird Eastern or whatever, just let them go. What I'm trying to tell you is we need to crawl a little bit right now. Because we cut off a whole part of the body and we cut off our own health. And here's the thing, once you learn that there's no fear, you follow your inner spirit. But we were taught to fear everything. Everything. And so I've been researching and looking into why people believe this. I'm just looking at it because I don't fear it. Listen, I fell in love with God. He encountered me. I don't care if we find out that, there's 57 books that somebody took from the Bible and they add it to us and it changes everything. It doesn't change much in me. Do you understand what I'm saying? A lot of us have served an external historic Jesus, but he's not external and historic. The reason you want to get it right and dot the I and cross the T, the reason you're stumped on the last thing I just said is because you want to get it right, but that's just your carnal self. Does that make sense? I mean, Jesus literally went to fishermen and said, hey, come on, I'm going to make you fishers of men. And then the guys that were so learned, Paul, he gave them to the Gentiles, you know what I'm saying? He defied the system. Are you guys out there? Am I hurting you? Okay, so then he goes in, if your eyes are evil, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the revelation that's in you, the light that's in you, this is verse 23, Matthew 6:23. If the light that's within you, that word in literally means, listen to this. If your eyes are bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the revelation, the illumination, what you think you see, if that's in you, that word within means, listen, that little word, it's within. Here it is. Inside, within, figuratively, the realm, a sphere, as in condition, a state in which something operates from the inside. So if what I think I know, if what Sheila is walking in, if the little revelation or what I think I know, if it's full of darkness, that means ignorance. If I think I'm walking in revelation, but I just don't know. I don't know that I don't know. I don't know because I haven't heard. I'm walking in darkness, but I'm calling it light. I'm not just talking about people that are evil. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about our level of revelation that we're holding on to. If then the light that's in me is darkness, how great is that darkness? These are the things, this is us fighting and holding on to our way of life. This is every denomination that's fighting amongst theirself, holding on to their truth while living in separation. Does that make sense? These are those that are fighting against, prejudice, racism. They're fighting against all these things in our nation, but yet they won't let you in if you don't believe what their little card says. Like the church birthed the separation in this nation. We made it the us and them. From the time we started this country, in God's name, we ruled over other men. And I'm not saying that to shame us, but I'm saying that if I'm holding on to what's right and I'm fighting with what's right, how deep is that darkness? What's it keeping me from? That's what I'm saying. What do I see? What I'm holding on so tight to, what is it keeping me from? Because there's a river inside of me, and it wants to take us somewhere. It wants to take you somewhere. And I promise you guys, it's beyond where you've ever gone if you'll if you'll be willing to go on this river. We live in a day, because of where technology is, because what men understand, because what we're opening up to, that we're going to see things that the earth has never seen from God's people. We finally have a mindset for it. Did we talk about that last week? We did, didn't we? The kingdom, and why whenever they came and talked about the kingdom, the only reason they could understand it is because of Rome. And Rome had now colonized the whole known world. So even Paul talks about a kingdom. They had a grid for it. Up until that point, they didn't have a grid for it. They didn't have a grid that you're going to bring heaven to earth. What does that mean? They had no grid, okay? Think of what the grid that we have now. It's insane. I can right now just pick up my phone and talk to somebody in China. Okay? And listen, so what I'm telling you is once you let the fear go of the words that people use and things like that, or fear of being deceived, you're going to go so much faster. I mean, come on, y'all. I'm not trying to get into some weird stuff, but I'm saying things like Moses was a medium on purpose. Not so you'll go get tickets and go to a medium. What I'm telling you is you are one. What I'm telling you is you can see backwards and you can see forward and you can see in the future. You really think that the smartphone's supposed to be smarter than us? That we're supposed to pick it up and talk to China, but I can't talk to them right here, right now? We have a grid for it. But we have seen ourselves so small, and we've seen ourselves encased in this skin that separates us. Verse 24, no one can serve. That word can is they're not able. It's the word that we get the word dynamite, power. You have no power. It's not possible to serve, to live under two authorities. Either you're going to hate one. That word, love one less, doesn't just mean hate. Doesn't mean, I hate it, you know. It means you're going to love one less and you love the other, or you'll be devoted to one and you'll despise the other. The word devoted, to hold firmly, you're going to cleave to it. You're going to stick by your rights. Despise, get this, the word despise means to disregard. You're going to disregard one. Think down on. It's from two words. The first means cast down. The second means from a higher to a lower plane with special reference, that end point. Let me get this straight. Let me see if you understand this. Okay, let me say this right. The word to despise, you're going to love one and despise the other. To look down on. To look down from a higher plane with a special reference that it has an end point. That is the first part of that word, despise. The second part is that you have understanding, or you directly to the mind, you observe an inner perspective. It's when it talks about despising, it literally is saying that you're able to come up into the higher place and think from another realm, from a higher perspective. Does that make sense? So you're able to think about these treasures that are being stored up in your mind and your heart, the things you value. You're able to think about all the things that are driving you, the reasons you wake up in the morning. There's a real you, there's a God you that's able to despise that. It's not the word despise like we mean, like I just hate it, that's why we got to be poor, you know what I mean? It means I can come up and go, oh, even those good things are small. And it says you could see the end to it. That means you recognize that it's fleeting. That means when you lose something, you realize from the high place that there was really no loss anyway. I know that this may sound twisted to people's minds, but part of the thing that brought me comfort in the midst of this with Darren, I didn't think, it kind of was really rough that he left so soon, but I wasn't living in this illusion that we were going to live forever. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, so what am I holding on to so tight? It's kind of like when you're raising your kids, what are you holding on to? That's why there's so much suicide and so many things around Christmas time, because we've built it up that it has to be this warm, fuzzy thing that brings you hope and joy, and then we're holding on to it as a whole society, and when it doesn't happen, people lose reason to live. And it's all an illusion. And I'm still going to use Christmas and do it and have family time and anything like that. But these things that we've stored our thoughts up, that we've put value on, that keep us busy, okay? Those are the exact things that are keeping you from the high place. And God says you can go to the high place from within you and despise those things. It's not saying, oh, don't do it. It's understanding that it's just a tool. Listen, a tool is a tool. That's also a bad word, isn't it? Tool. I think it became a bad word or something. So all these things that we've used and we've taught people to connect with God are awesome. Right? I need someone to come and fix my plumbing. That's happening, but I'll give you an example since you guys are concerned about this. And they're going to use tools to get there. But after the tools are used, we don't need them. Okay? So what we've done out of our carnality is we hold tight to the tool. And we fight each other over the tool. No, that's not the right way. That's why we kind of had a panic at one of our wakes when we were told that we have to do all these things in the spirit realm now. It was first all the things you have to do on the earth. And now we got to do all these things in the spirit, like 1, 2, 3. You better learn the laws of heaven. And people literally panicked because we had taken years of bringing them out of the systems and the religion that man puts on them, and now they're experiencing the spirit realm, and they're like, oh, it's not protocol. I'll tell you what protocol was. I could see it in my husband's eyes if he wanted to be intimate. That's protocol with God. It's learning just to discern and get sensitive. It's not that the tools are wrong. I'm not going to fight you over the tools, okay? That's why, and I know it sounds so offensive to our minds, but when I compared doing like communion and these things with yoga, okay, neither of them matter. And if your heart's after God, you can meet God in any of them. I mean, you guys heard Darren. He said he was coming off of drugs. He was, up on crank for 3 days when he encountered God. So what do we do? Like, that's what we're going to do? Start a church where we do that for 3 days? I mean, I'd like to lose a few pounds, but can we do it a better way? I do need my house clean. You can get a lot done on that, right? Oh, that's where you laugh. I see where you are. So tools are just tools. Those are just tools. They're not good or bad. God said, I've never looked at the external. I've always looked at the heart of man. And we look at the external. And we didn't know that like we were talking about the woman at the well last week. We didn't know that she was going through every man looking for Jesus. Look up Fotini. That's who, Photini, I believe. That's who they believe the woman of the well is. And she discipled more people than most of the disciples afterwards. I think she baptized over 100 people in Nero's house before she was thrown into a dry well to die. Everyone that traveled with her, I think some of them say children, the other ones say sisters, but there was 5 family members that traveled with her. They all were beheaded. And she got thrown into a dry well. Can you imagine? And she's like, God, why didn't you take my head? Like, I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to go the way they wanted to go. But this woman, that's tradition, that's history. You can look that up, Fotini. But we would have judged that, oh my God, she's on her 5th one. But she was looking for Jesus the same way that they were looking for him in the temple. A tool is a tool is a tool. That's why I'm telling you, eventually he's going to get you because your heart's after him. I didn't know when I'm telling my mom I need counseling. I just feel depressed, like something's wrong. I used to tell my mom that. Like I thought I was going crazy. This is like my 8th grade year. I was just so sad inside. I don't know why I was sad inside. I had a mom and dad, and I had dinner on Sunday night, and we had family time, you know what I mean? I didn't have any real big complaints, But I didn't know what I was trying to describe was that I was seeking for him until I found him. Guys, we have to walk in discernment in these times. We have to draw within. I begin to picture. Let's close your eyes real quick. I just want you to picture I've been in these caves in Missouri, I think Branson, Missouri, I think. And I want you to picture it on the inside of you like a cave. And then go in it. And there are some tough places. I remember crawling through this cave that just kind of made you panic. You know, you're crawling through the rocks. But you just start discovering things. And I want you to just work your way until you come down into a room where there's a river, this big open space within you. A lot of us don't want to go there. But hidden within is the God of you. And it's so easy to serve the God in the sky, to blame the God in the sky, and to feel separate from the God in the sky. And it's kept us weak, and it's kept us broken, and it's kept us wandering. And I want you to see a river. And it's beautiful, and it's clean, and it's clear, and it's going somewhere. And it's not cold. It's perfect temperature. I want you to get in that river. You can picture a floaty if you can't swim. Grab something and just lay your head back. Within you. And just let the river take you. And it's your journey, and it's your discovery, and it's all you, and it's all him, and it's all glorious. And it's already moving, and it's already coming from the life within God, and it never quits moving. And from this place, you can face anything, see anything, taste anything, smell anything, walk through anything while you're enjoying the river within. And your mind would tell you you need to store it up and get busy, but you're resting in the river within, and you're going to watch in your life where it'll take you. There's nothing to fear, and there's no cares here. From here, you can go to the high place within you. And we use the word despise, but you're able to see the end game and really laugh at the things that you deemed important. It's peace. It's the kingdom within. He said, don't go looking here and there. He was saying, don't go looking here and there. It's inside you. The reason you're still looking is because you're looking outward. After he talks about coming to the high place, despise, he goes in to say it's impossible to serve both mammon, which you guys know mammon isn't just money. It's what keeps this system going, whatever it is. And then he goes into talking about not being anxious about their physical life. He said, when you're anxious, that word, it says not to worry about your life, what you eat or drink, and he goes all into it. And, I think it's so ironic that the 2 times that judgment came, it says they were eating, drinking, marrying, and giving in marriage. They weren't doing immoral things. They were just caught up. Their treasures were stuck here. They were valuing what was going on here, what was going to keep this system going. And what they were valuing kept them locked into a system. And the floods came and they didn't see it. And the temple came down and they didn't see it. And he says, as it says, verse 26, look at the birds of the air. They don't sow or reap. in their barns. Your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Verse 27, can any one of you worry or be anxious and add a single hour to your life? That's not just telling you to calm down and not worry. Okay, when it says, can you add a single hour, is you'll never, that word means mature. The things that you think you have to learn to mature, the things that you valued in your storehouse, in your mind, that you think, once I get this, then I'm going to mature, that busyness that you've stored up that you have to have, that you have to get, okay, that's never going to mature you. It says it's not going to add 1 hour to your life. It's only going to be a distraction from your real growth. Listen, your real growth, it feels the opposite at first. It feels like you're not growing at all because your teacher, you came to kindergarten, your teacher says, I need you to crawl. Because there's a part of your brain that didn't develop. And I want you to be able to read just like that. So I want you to come back with me. And that's where I believe we are as a church. So hear me, it's not about discovering this or that. Oh, I finally discovered the greatest meditation. I mean, some of them are just weird. That's fine. But get on YouTube and find some, and when your spirit jumps, write it. You can trust your spirit. You can trust your spirit. It's like this morning, I didn't know what I was seeing. I saw everybody moved on this side of the building. And then you just think it's funny when it plays out. And listen, the same people, when Jesus came, the same people that laid it out and they said, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest, those of us that are worshiping him, you're the God of all, but we're caught up in this world of matter, okay? Those people wanted him to set up a political kingdom. They thought he would come at like the Davidic king, like David, you know? They thought that Jesus' kingdom was going to be political, fighting over who would sit at the right hand and the left hand, and they chased the Romans and set him up as a Davidic king. The people of Jerusalem were expecting a bloody uprising. Finally, our king has come. We're in slavery. Literally, we have to submit to the pagans, to the Roman soldiers. So finally, how offensive was it to their minds when he didn't set up a kingdom and set them free? That's us saying, God, you have the power to raise him up. Why haven't you raised him up? God, you have the power to set him free. Why haven't you set him free? These are the same things. They're fighting over what they can see and what they've stored up in their mind that needs to happen for freedom. It's in us. It's just in us. Right? As they saw that Jesus was not the warrior king they expected, enthusiasm went away. The religious leaders whom they believed they comprised the crowd, they started talking to the crowd. They were spreading lies about Jesus, and slowly public opinion began to turn. Now they were those that they saw, like Nathanael, that he was like, I don't know, something changed on the inside of me. And then you got to fight with that. You got to fight with that because everything's going to tell you that it's not that reality. Right? And there's people that God's raising up that you think, whether I ever see a change in this world, whether I ever see a change in what I think needs to happen in my family, I'm going to hold that reality. And they were able to manipulate the crowds. Many false messiahs had come and gone, leaving devastation in their wake. And at the triumphal entry, Jerusalem rejoiced. But when Jesus failed their expectations, he had come to defeat sin, not death in Rome, and not Rome. He had come to defeat the way they saw themselves. He came to bring back where they wouldn't feel separated any longer. His kingdom was in the hearts, not on a throne. They began to reject Jesus as the campaign of lies by the story as told in Matthew leads me to the conclusion that the crowds who joined in the praise one day also joined in the crucifixion cries the following few days. In the Catholic Church, we would do on Easter, and it always hurt my heart. I was a kid. We would read the scripts, and it would be, give us, you want Jesus? No, give us Barabbas, give us. And the crowd was given these scripts. And I just remember going, oh, I don't want to be in the crowd that says crucify him. And because there was a group of us that had to say, no, crucify him. You know, we were like acting it out. But isn't that what we do? I know that we think that we would have never said crucify him, but in our minds, it's so offensive to us when it doesn't happen on what we've decided it needs to happen. That's what offense is. All offense comes back to God. All offense comes back to God. Okay? The more that you learn to live in that place of peace, whether it changes or not, you're good, but from that place you can change things. Does that make sense? I think I'm almost done. John 20:29, Jesus said to him, because you've seen me, you have believed, you're blessed. Blessed are those who, because you have seen me, you believe. Blessed are those who have not seen me, yet they still believe. Jesus performed many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in the books, but these are written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. Last couple things, y'all. Dominion. You hold the power to choose to perceive everything. The experiences that you're having in this life are what you're choosing. Everything you're experiencing is within you. You can choose to see what Jesus saw, or you can choose to see what you want to see. So when you're wringing your hands and there's things wrong in the world, you can decide if that's what Jesus sees, or you can decide if that's what you see. In the anxiety of it. True dominion does not require you to change your circumstances. Ouch. The 0.01% dominion is when you change your mind about all things and think from your Christ mind and see only truth and know Father in all things. You are the power behind what you experience, and you can live in perfect peace all the time. It got quiet. Just look again, y'all. Just look again. Just look again. I know that we feel this kind of a frustration because we feel like the church is moving fast and things are happening fast. You're not being left out of it, okay? But you got to find that place of peace. How many of you guys could see that river on the inside of you? That's literally a simple tool that you can keep going back to. Listen, every time we fight, every time we argue, every time we're holding on to what, like we get offended, it's because we're defending our fleeting life anyway. It's the ego self. Every time. Even God's word does not have to be defended. It doesn't have to be defended. We get to live in peace. We don't have to prove our point. I saw where Don Cleathley said he's really thankful or something. He's been in it. Now he doesn't have to try to get people to understand anything anymore. It's just if you're hungry, let's go. That's all we're doing. I remember when we moved to Houston, what changed for us is when we lived in a small town, we worked so hard to get the people we loved and we were friends with and family to on the same page. And when we moved to Houston, I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. There's like 7 million people in this area. Somebody might like us, right? Go ahead and you can throw the thing up there to give. Why don't you guys stand up with me? Are y'all okay? You got quiet. Dove's eyes. Dove's eyes. We'll just play a little bit of it because I think the song gets kind of crude. But up there, thank you for giving. Right there, 832-956-0150. If anybody needs an offering envelope or the bucket, raise your hand real high. We had you move over here. We're going to take care of the flooding. We're going to rejoice in it. There are no problems. We're standing in the high place. Thank you for giving online. It's just amazing what God's doing. I'm just excited about the growth in your life. I'm excited. I look around. I'm excited about the growth in your life, the freedom. Continue to let us draw this out of you, the truth of who you are. Does anybody have something you want to say real fast? Real fast? Come on with it, brother.
When Jacob experienced the heavenly realm, he renamed that place El Bethel. Bethel means the house of God. El Bethel means the God of the house of God. He also said, I did not perceive God was in this place. That word place in Hebrew also means I. I did not perceive God was in this I, in this I, in this I. The God in the house of God, because we are God's house, but it's the God in God's house that's amazing.
Yeah.
Last point, in the shack, when Mac is meeting Papa. And he couldn't handle the Father right then or a man. So how does God, the Father, come to him? As a black woman. Isn't that good? And Mac's talking to Papa and says, so Papa, it sounds like you're saying all roads lead to Rome. And Papa says, no, all roads lead nowhere. But I will use all of your nowheres to get you to me.
Whoa.
Isn't God good? The
Yeah.
I, the I, the I, the I, the I. God is in this place.
I love it. I think we're done.
Julia.
You have something? Oh, no? Cut it off? He said cut it off. Go ahead and play our music. This is Dove's Eyes because we want to have single vision.
Hey guys, I have furniture purging this year, and so I just feel led to give some things away. If you haven't made contact with me, if you need anything, come see me, and I can tell you all about it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Did you want to talk about registration for Wake 2?
I kind of covered it.
Okay.
What you think?
Yeah. Just a reminder, we do have registration today as well as throughout the weeks going forward. Also, we have rescheduled, if you do not know, the picnic for next Sunday.
No. July 11th.
July 11th, sorry. I thought it was June 11th. July 11th, because we will govern what the weather is trying to do. Anyways, so for anybody who hasn't registered for the detox sessions with Sheila and everyone else that's going to be doing it, we were talking about closing it, but we're just going to leave it open. And all you have to do is when you go to iamgodshouse.com, you're going to so with your mouse, you're not going to click the tab at the top right, you're just going to hover. So I don't know if you know what that means, but you basically just put the mouse over it, and then a drop-down menu will come down. And it's going to be over the Events tab on the top right-hand corner. And as it drops down, you're going to see a group or a little tab that says e-groups. So when you click on the e-groups, then you can sign up and get the updates and be a part of the detox. Oh, they're doing it right now. This is perfect. I love this. But you do have to have an account. So if you haven't registered with us, when you go to sign in, it will ask you to register. And it's free, it's easy, it's just email, basic information. And then you click Mind Detox, and then it'll send you updates.
It has been called a session. What else has it been called? Somebody said, we want to be a part of your, I don't know what it is, y'all. You just read on it, listen to it, and if you want to join, get rid of your mind.
Also, business owners in the house. Business owners, raise your hands. Business owners. So if you're interested in being a part of the directory, tonight's going to be the last night that we're registering people. And you're going to get with Lamise. So what we did is we put her email on the screen. Or it's supposed to be. It's up? Okay, right here. So for all the business owners in the house, even online, if you're in Houston, you're going to register. You're going to email with Lamise at Lamisataha. Did I say that right? Lamisataha. LAMEESETAHA at gmail.com. Guys, please be a part of the family. Please be a part of what we're doing, especially with the business directory, but also with everyone here in Houston and abroad, and just growing, and just growing and being a part and just having fun and having family. And we really want to bless the people that is our family here as well. And we know that the times in the past has been rough, but God's using this to just promote. So we just thank you guys. We love you guys. And one last thing for Wake. If anybody has a host home or anybody wants to be a host home, please get with me, or the people that will actually be coordinating it will be Jordan and Lamise. Jordan's in the back right. And what they'll do is they'll go over the instructions, directions, kind of stuff like that, and then also just give us how many rooms you have available, what bedding you have available, and then we'll take care of everything else. Okay? Well, I think that's it. God bless. Love you guys.